Welcome to the WinDailySports.com live pregame show. We're doing this on a Thursday night. We're looking forward to Friday. We got some games early. We got some games late. We're going to focus our DFS on the late slate. But, Adam, I got something to warm me up during the day to get me through my early part of my afternoon. The Mets are playing at home. Actually, no, they're playing on the road. No, they're playing at home. What am I saying now? They're playing at home. Early start against Arizona. Chris Bassett, big favorite. Mets, the big favorite. And Bassett has an over prop of 5.5 Ks. Came out guns blazing, first game against the Nats. Crushed his prop, but it wasn't 5.5. What's your thoughts here going against Arizona?
Well, considering this is now the third time that I've answered this, I can be pretty firm in my answer of I do think he's going over. I don't know if anybody's managed to catch it. We've had some technical difficulties getting the stream off the ground tonight. But, yeah, I mean, you look and Bassett's K rate to lefties was 25.8% last year, a little bit higher than he was to the right side of the plate. That's a good thing against the Diamondbacks because they're going to be a mostly lefty lineup. And then, early on, not that we really expected the D-backs lineup to be any good, but they're striking out at a 26% rate. So it's a really good mix for Bassett to hit the over in that 5.5.
Yeah, big favorite. I think if you're playing on FanDuel early, you play Bassett, you try to get different elsewhere. I guess you can take a shot on Joe Ryan or Nick Pivetta there. But for me, it's Bassett. But let's go ahead and let's lock into this late slate. Look, we got a big slate. Luckily, they're not including these 6:35 games. I don't know what they're thinking about these 6:35 games just to annoy us DFS players. But we're going to lock into the 7:05 DK slate. Pitching is kind of funny to look at. Like we've been talking, Adam, about this DK pricing, and it's just hysterical to me that Marco Gonzalez.
It was the first one that I jumped on. I'm like, wait, what?
What? Like fourth most expensive pitcher. All right, maybe he's got an easy matchup. Maybe he had a good first start. No, he's facing Houston. In his first game, he got blown up, negative 2.3, and now he's the fourth most expensive pitcher. Like what algorithm kicked out Gonzalez as the fourth? Like, come on now. Like, I got to know, man. DraftKings, if you're out there, who is doing this? Is this a joke at this point? But, like, obviously we're not playing Marco Gonzalez. So where are you at, man, with pitching? Because there's a couple different ways I can see this coming down.
No, I'm definitely not playing Marco Gonzalez after a $1,400 price increase for negative fantasy points. To me, this really looks like it's kind of a three-headed monster up top. You have Cease versus Tampa Bay, Freddie Peralta against St. Louis, and then Rodon really shutting down a lot of any concerns about his shoulder, at least in the early going, coming out just guns blazing against the Marlins and whiffing 12 hitters. To me, Peralta's kind of that guy that's going to get the attention, at least to start, is probably going to wind up my favorite, just because he's going to get a righty-heavy lineup. That was key to that strikeout upside last year. He approached almost 40% for the K rate against righties. And the Cardinals are going to throw out, it should be at least 6, tomorrow. And anytime that can happen, man, like, I'm really interested. And even though, like, okay, he struggled in the first start, just like the other Brewers pitchers did. But, like, looking at his swinging strike rate, like, it was still decent. Like, everything was kind of in line. He had a 409 xFIP compared to the 675 ERA. There wasn't necessarily a lot that really gave me, like, major concern here with Peralta other than, just kind of a bad start.
So what's your thoughts here? To me, Milwaukee is more of a hitter's park than a pitcher's park. I know Peralta pitched well, all of last year. But this Cardinals lineup is a little scary. Are you worried at all here? Hitter's park combined with how hot the top 6, top 7 of this lineup in St. Louis really is?
I mean, realistically, there's concern with of all three top-end pitchers. Dylan Cease, okay, Tampa strikes out a decent amount. They're also top 6 in most of the offensive categories we value early on, and they were top 12 last year. So this is kind of like a continuation of what they've done. With Rodon, like, the Guardians have started out incredibly hot. They're crushing lefties. Limited sample size, obviously, this year, especially just versus lefty pitching. But they've just been destroying it so far. So I think every guy up top is going to have a path to failure for sure. But Brandon Woodruff, he didn't strike out a lot of hitters today, but he did kind of quiet down those bats a little bit. He went 5 strong innings, only 2 Ks, but like Peralta stuff, man, it can overpower any given lineup on any given day.
Yeah, I hear that. Vegas is, pretty much in line with what you're saying. Peralta minus 150, 8.5 over under. You got Cease minus 145, 8.5 over under. The one guy who's slightly ahead of the pack here is Rodon. He's minus 150 to win, over under of 8. So it's a half a run, which really comes down to, potentially a very, very close pairing here. So look, you're right. The Cardinals are going to at least, they're going to throw out Goldschmidt, O'Neill, Arenado, DeJong, and probably Bader and Molina. So it's a lot of righties there. So that's a good look as far as that goes. Now, when you start climbing down the list, and this is where we found a lot of value in this early, first week of MLB DFS, these like 7,700 to 85, even 6,000 price pitchers, they've been hitting more than the high range guys. It's pretty ridiculous how it keeps on happening. Yes, you got Kershaw going out there pitching a gem, Rodon, a couple other guys. Scherzer's been good enough through his, first start and stuff. So, but 6K, 7K, 8K, Montgomery, Stroman, Marquez, who is the guy that you like in this mid-range that can go out there and possibly pair with one of these high-priced guys that can get us to 10, 15, 20 points?
That's a really good question right now because I don't really like a ton in this mid range. It's going to be tough sledding. It definitely needs a deeper look. Marcus Stroman, ground baller in Colorado, at least kind of has a path to success. Do I want to pay 9K for a guy that just historically has not struck out enough guys to pay off that price tag? That's probably going to be no fly zone. Montgomery, maybe. His start was kind of hard to gauge because he took a ball off the leg early against the Red Sox. Maybe something there that I could like. Scooble's still kind of interesting to me. It wasn't a good first start for him, but he pitched against the White Sox, and we talked the other day, like, we just don't pitch lefties against the White Sox, man. It's one of the worst matchups in baseball. Marquez might interest me a little bit, depending on the construction of the Cubs lineup. If it's more righty heavy, I'll probably be taking shots. I mean, he just pitched well in Coors against the Dodgers of all teams. I mean, when he went 7 strong, only 3 hits, only 1 run, 5 strikeouts, 11 ground balls. That'll get you home at that kind of a price tag. There's really not a lot to love above 7K between that like 9 to 7K range tonight. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, look, Marquez is a professional pitcher. He can take some shots, but I want to ask you about a guy who's got, it's pretty much minus 105. He's not a favorite going into this game, but the over-under is only 8. It's one of the lowest scoring games on the board. Playing in San Diego, Kyle Wright came out in his first start, dropped to 27.7. I get it. It was at home against Cincinnati, but 6 Ks, only 2 hits allowed. This guy was a top prospect, just been battling injuries every year for the most part. What's your thoughts? 6,700. You don't need a bunch. You don't need him to go out there and get you 27 points again. 15 to 20 in that range at 6,700. Look, San Diego doesn't put much fear in me. It's not the same team without Tatis. They're a little bit banged up. What's your thoughts here going Kyle Wright?
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. He was definitely on my short list of guys that I need to see, exactly what he looked like. And, it's funny because we say, like, San Diego doesn't necessarily worry me, and then they beat the tar out of Charlie Morton tonight. So, but, like, when just on the cursory glance, I mean, he was almost a 16% swinging strike rate, 35.5% called plus swinging strikes. Like, the guy was getting swings and misses. He was pounding the strike zone. And like you said, I'm usually kind of a sucker for guys with pedigree that are still just 26. His major league career has not been a success so far, but at the same time, you're talking 76 innings. You can't just cast a guy aside after 76 innings as a pitcher. Like, that's just not how things work.
Yeah, I think he's definitely on my radar, man. Looking at the peripherals here, you mentioned it, and that price tag, 6,700. baseball has a lot of variance, like you just said. They knocked around Morton, but they've been kind of quiet in and out of games as well. So I think Kyle Wright is a guy you can go to. One last guy I'll mention, not the biggest of fans, but he's got me there before. It's not like he's, always struggling. It's Brad Keller. Again, minus 130 favorite, pitching at home, 8.5 under, going against Detroit. There's some light here where Keller can, pitch to contact. Not going to go out there and strike out a bunch of players, but he was good enough last year for me to roster him a couple times, get me 15 points, 20 points. He came out, first start of the year at home against Cleveland. Look, he got you 5Ks, only 2 hits allowed. We're not, box score watching, but Vegas kind of agrees, man. There's not too many games with low over-unders. Kyle Wright's got one at 8, and then Keller versus, Skubal at 8.5. It's another spot here, and they're the same price tag. So what do you think people go to here? Do they go to Kyle Wright or Keller in the same price range?
I probably lean Keller just because of the Detroit matchup. He was another guy kind of, I had tabs on, okay, like I got to take a look at him and see. I'm pretty sure he either tweaked his pitch mix, added a pitch, something like that, his first start, he wasn't on a main slate. So I didn't really get to dive deep into him. But, seeing some good results right out of the gate is always a positive for a guy like that. And then the last guy coming on my list that I'll probably wind up having a decent amount. He's only available on DK, at least at the stands, unless FanDuel adds him overnight. But it's Mackenzie Gore. This is a guy that's been a prospect for a while. He's battled injuries. It's a lefty versus the Braves. It's not the easiest spot, but like his stuff is absolutely electric when it's on. And we've seen these young pitchers come up. Even Hunter Green, like, okay, it's not, it's a lefty versus a righty. But he did really well against the Braves. He got the strikeouts you needed. Gore's only 5K. Like, if he gets you 12, 13, that's not killing you at that price tag.
He's technically the favorite, too. He's minus 115 going against Kyle Wright. The over-under is 8 in this game as well. So these are guys that if you want to pay up for bats, you can even mix and match 2 of these guys in this range. I'm not totally against it. At 5K, you don't need much. And it's a situation that he can go out there and do his thing and get you 12 to 15, and you're in a good spot if your bats hit, if your stacks hit. So there's guys, we got to, dive deeper on this, and I'm sure you'll have an article out in a couple hours going through all these pitchers, but I think Gore's in play. Take a couple shots there. Kyle Wright, Brad Keller, both those guys in play as well. If you want to take a shot on Montgomery, take a shot on Marquez, and then it's up top for me. I'm not playing this, this 8K to 9,300 range, not playing. So it's going to be the 3 guys up top, Cease, Peralta, Rendon, and the guys down low that we mentioned, Keller, Wright. And I'll probably be sold on some Mackenzie Gore by around lock because you'll get in my ear. I'll read your article. You get me some nice stats. Probably one of those Twitter memes of this wicked slider that he has or something like that will get me hook, line, and sinker. Looking at the other side, though, the stacks that we want, I'll ring off a couple of games that got high over-unders. Obviously, the Blue Jays, they're minus 200 at home. Over-under is 10 in that game. The Yankees going against Jordan Lyles, minus 195 favorites there as well. So those two teams will stick out early. A lot of people will be stacking them. The Angels and Mike Trout are heating up. Adam, I don't know if you saw the home run that Trout hit, dead center, 475. But the dude is heating up, man. It looked effortless too, man. So like a lot of people, me included at times, say, Trout's a little bit falling off, and then he does that. And it's like, nah, this guy's really good at baseball. So the Angels as well are playing in a game with an over-under of 10 and, juice towards the Angels. So the Angels are another spot that you got to take a look at. And then we got Coors Field. But Coors Field with Stroman versus Marquez, I don't want to bet it as of yet. But if I had to bet the over-under in that game, I would bet the under here. 2 good pitchers, 2 ground ball pitchers, 2 guys that will probably battle here unless the bullpens blow it. I'm not really, really looking to stack that game. And then you got the Astros, which I kind of find surprising that this game only has an over-under of 8.5, because obviously Marco Gonzalez is so good at baseball that he should be priced up, and the Astros definitely won't hit him. But I kind of like the over there. I think that game, the Astros side, can be kind of sneaky. And then you got the Dodgers and Reds. Obviously, the Dodgers will be in play on every slate. But do you have a favorite at this point that you like? If I had to make a lineup right now, I'm stacking this team.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the Yankees was my first lean. Jordan Lyles was basically just a punching bag last year. Doesn't look like much has changed. He was already in the negatives in the one game that he appeared in. 7 hits, 5 earned. He's not a major league pitcher, and we're going to be picking on Baltimore pitchers a lot. This is probably the first time that I've just been like full guns blazing. All Yankees, whatever I can get in is probably going to wind up there. It's hard to not want to get after that team. And, the Yankees are always going to be relatively like sort of expensive. They're not like prohibitive here. Judge is the most expensive at 54, especially without, having to fit a ton of like ace pitching, because you're probably just going to pick one and then pick one in the low range like we talked about. This is pretty easy to build around too and get a nice chunk of that Yankee lineup.
Talk to me about this dude, Dalton Jeffries. I didn't see his first game. He went out, had a big game, against Philadelphia on the road. Philly's swinging a hot bat. This is a different lineup. This is the Toronto Blue Jays. Vlad, went out there yesterday, hit 3 home runs. Where are you at with Jeffries, and where are you at with a Blue Jays stack?
Yeah, I'm not really buying into Jeffries. Again, very short stint in the majors so far, 23 innings, 5.31 xFIP. Doesn't look like he's going to be anything special. And realistically, the K rate of 12.4% should really scare everybody, because like if you can't get swings and misses with the Jays bats and they're able to make contact, they tend to go pretty far. So, cool for him. I'm not like, that's great. He had a good start. He has been better against righties in his short career. I kind of don't care. It's still the Blue Jays, and this is a pitcher that just has no swing and miss stuff, it appears.
The only thing I'll point out, Teoscar Hernandez went on a DL today, and then Gurriel took a fastball or maybe a slider from Severino, like right off the hand. So
Yeah.
Gurriel might be banged up, and Teoscar is out. Not to say that you can't get a mini stack of Springer, who's been hot. Vlad's been like nuclear, and Bo Bichette, or maybe slide in a Tapia or one of the value guys here. But that does prevent potentially like a full-on Toronto stack. And that might lead you to go. I'm not a big Angel stack guy. Like, I just don't see that team producing too often in the double digits. Trout can carry him, Ohtani can carry him. But I like the Angels more for kind of like a mini stack, 2 to 4. But the Angels definitely would be in play. Where do you have them pegged right now? Are they at the top or near the top?
They're probably like maybe 3rd or 4th right now. Based on what we got. I think right now it's Yankees, maybe the Jays are kind of mixed in there, and then it's probably going to be the Dodgers after that against Gutierrez.
Yeah, Dodgers definitely in play. Looking at these Astros, I think they're in play as well. You have these 2 late games. If you can survive the early slate with the mini stack, I'm looking at fading Coors Field. I just don't think it's a great spot. You got 2 decent pitchers with Atlanta and San Diego. I'm not touching the Royals Tigers game. Brewers, I'm not a fan of. They're not really hitting yet. Cardinals gonna have tough matchups. So for me, it's gonna be the late slate that will hopefully bring down the late night hammer. Astros, Dodgers. I think you lean Dodgers. I get it. What's your thoughts on the Astros going against Marco Gonzalez here?
Yeah, they're mostly still underpriced. Bregman's starting off really well. He's still under 5K. He's hitting 333 with an OPS approaching 1,000. Yuli Gurriel is kind of like one of those guys I always look at against the lefty. Then you got some value guys. Jose Siri,
Pena, McCormick.
yeah. I mean, Pena's hitting 292. Like, you have you have guys up and down this lineup at differing price points that, once you kind of figure out who your favorite is with the pitch mix and everything else, they're going to be a pretty easy team to stack up as well, especially if you're willing to go towards like the Bregman, Aledmys Diaz, Gurriel route, where it's kind of more the middle of the lineup as opposed to that top, and maybe do like one wraparound value piece.
Yeah, the thing with the Astros too, they faced Gonzalez a bunch of times, so they know this guy. He's not recreating himself. So Altuve, Bregman, Gurriel, those righties that are going to face Gonzalez are in a good spot here. Kind of like the over in this game. The over is only 8.5, and it's Odorizzi versus Gonzalez. Something doesn't make sense here to me. I think this game shoots over. Probably my favorite bet of the entire slate right now. I'm definitely going to toss a couple dollars in there before I go to sleep, because I think that thing pushes up over 9 and maybe even ends at 9.5 here. Just two mediocre pitchers against one really good offense and another offense that, can potentially wake up when Jake Odorizzi is on the other side. Let's call some home runs. We haven't been so lucky with our home run calls as of yet. I've been off. I've been like leaning on a couple of guys, and I picked the wrong guy, and then the other guy I want to mention goes out and hits a home run. So it's tough picking one. But Adam, you know what? Let's go and pick two today, man. Let's give ourselves an easier shot to pick a home run call. You take one, I'll take one, and then you take another one, and we'll finish off the show, with our favorite pitchers and our favorite stacks.
So my first one, I will take. You know what? I'll take Bregman.
You go Bregman. I like that call. I do like the Astros. Let me think, putting myself on the spot right now. Be too easy to say Trout, but I'll take the chalk here, man. This dude just mashes in Texas. For whatever reason, he mashes in Texas. He hit a ball 475 feet. So I'll take the easy one. I'll go Trout. Stays hot. He's been hitting the ball real well after the first couple games. Flip it back to you. Let's get one more pick in each, and then we'll move on to our favorite pitching and stacks of the slate.
I'm actually going to stay in the same game as you are, and I'm going to say Max Stassi against the lefty.
That's a bolder call, and since you did that, I'll pick someone a little bit deeper down the line here. Let's see what game I want to go to. I'll go back to your game. I'll flip it on you, and I'll go Gurriel. Gets a home run out. More of a doubles hitter, but he's got pop. He'll pull one down the line, put one deep there. Adam, before you give me your favorite pitcher on the slate, give us the gas can, a guy that's going to get blown up, a guy that we're most likely stacking against. Who is that guy for you tonight?
It's Lyles for me against the Yankees in Camden.
Jordan Lyles for you. I will go ahead and say, this is tougher than you got the good one, man. I'll go with Marco Gonzalez, man. I've been calling this dude out the entire slate. I'm betting the over, probably Astros team total and the game total here. So I think the Astros get to Gonzalez, get into that bullpen early. He struggles. He's too old. He shouldn't be in the league anymore, or he's still crafty, I guess. What's your favorite stack of the slate?
It's probably Yankees. Yeah, I'll just stick to that whole theme. The Yankees are going in my article for sure for a stack.
All right, I'll go Astros. You go Yankees. I might pair them together. We do like the Dodgers. Make sure you check us out at WinDailySports.com and hop in our expert chat, man. We're in Discord. Just search Win Daily. Go to WinDailySports.com. Hop in our Discord. Make sure you like and subscribe. Ton of great content. NBA playoffs right around the corner. Any predictions for Saturday, man? It's a big do or die for these teams, man. I want to get your call before we get out of here. 2 games left before the official playoff start. You got the Hawks and the Cavs. Hawks are favored by 1, over under 223. And then you got the Pelicans and the Clippers are favored by 4. Do the favorites win here, or do we see some upsets, Adam?
I think the favorites win. I know Jared Allen's probably going to play for Cleveland. That does help them a lot, but it's not enough to stop Trae Young and the group they got going. And then, I think the Clippers kind of remember that Paul George is back and it's not Reggie Jackson hero ball at the end of this game, because holy crap, he really really worked to hand the Timberwolves that game late. I think they correct a lot of those mistakes and get over the hump against the Pelicans.
You know what's worse than seeing Reggie Jackson?
Seeing Pat Bev rip his shirt off on the scorer's table.
Worse than that. You want to hear worse than that? Seeing Zion do 360 dunks before the game and not play. What is going on with this dude? Like, how can you be doing a 360 dunk? I've been seeing this for weeks now. He pulls out a 360 dunk, but he can't play. Is he
Whole
not?
thing's weird, man. Whole thing is kind of weird. And then, like, if he comes back next year, like, they should be fun. Like, they really gelled when they got McCollum. They've been playing better defense. Herbert Jones at least looks like, somebody viable you can leave on the floor. Like, their starting unit should be, halfway decent. Like, they shouldn't be in the play-in next year if Zion's back and healthy. But I don't know. The whole situation's kind of an oddball one.
Yeah, pretty crazy to me, man. I don't know what's up with this dude. I don't know why he's not playing. I don't know what they're saving him for. I don't know what is going on. But make sure you check us out at windailysports.com. Hop in our expert chat. Enjoy the games on Friday. The Mets will win. The Mets will still be in first place. Bassett will hopefully go out there, hit his K-prop. We like the games that we mentioned. We'll be in Discord all day. Adam will have an article up in no time. You can lock in with us. Check out our optimizer projection models. Get ready for the NBA playoffs. It's going to be a good summer, and we finally broke like 70 degrees on the East Coast. So I'm feeling happy getting outside, getting some exercise, and winning some money. So stay tuned for more. We got a lot more coming, and we are out of here.